Hi, Carthropologists. This is Carthropology doing a new report from London. We have a report that we're going to try to do, and it's a report on interesting cars that we find here in the City of London. We're not necessarily going to do all the expensive cars or all the fancy new stuff. We might cover one or two, because if it stands out, we'll make sure we report it to you. But that being said, there are a lot of Rolls Royces and Bentleys and expensive sports cars, and we could do a whole report on that. But what we're trying to do is to find the unusual, the vintage car, the survivor, the one that's been out on the road for 50 or 60 years and is so loved by its owner that it's kept around. So with no further ado, that's the gist of our latest report, and let's not waste any more time. Let's get started and find out what's going on here across the pond.
Walking around London in the evening is a great time to find vintage cars. The city is hopping and people are out. And along the sidewalks, as you stroll along the streets, you will inevitably come across some real beauties. This one in particular was a really pristine looking Morgan, just parked along the side street. It was very sporty. It had a big number 4 emblazoned on the grille and the covered fog lamps that sort of gave it a rally posture. It's got all the classic lines and curves and venting of an early roadster. And it was really a beautiful example of a car meant for spirited driving and open air enjoyment of the road. Another night in London, and this evening things were a little drier, as we can see. We rounded this corner in Mayfair and discovered 2 Porsches lined up on the side of the street. And of course, the second one was the one that piqued our interest. This beautiful vintage 911 had some very unusual features. The sporty stripe down the middle looked great, and then a giant filler cap in the middle of the hood seemed to indicate a car that was spec'd out for endurance racing. There were other unusual details about it. Alongside the car, toward the back, there was a vented rear quarter window, and also there were conical torpedo-shaped rear indicator lights. All this was thoughtfully worked out into the look of the car, as well as the dual tailpipes that were visible in the back. Overall, a very nice car. And as we go further down the street, we come across a French automobile, the Alpine, powered by Renault. This is an unusual automobile. You don't see many of these in the US at all, but they're a little more common on the streets of Europe. It has a very muscular sculptural design. It is about the size of a 911, but as you can see, the interpretation of a sports car is truly original, as the French are wont to do. You can see the hood here with the integrated fog lamps and the creases down the hood, just giving it that strong muscular look. The sports seats for this mid-engine coupe. It's got a lovely matte finish, 4-wheel caliper brakes, speaking of its very vigorous racing legacy. Just a truly beautiful race car to find here on the streets. And now another evening walk, this time in London's Covent Garden area, a very busy shopping area even in the evening. And parked alongside the road is this beautiful AC Cobra with a removable bubble top, giving it a slightly different profile than what we're used to seeing, and a long hood with a massive scoop in the front, suggesting a very powerful V8 engine underneath. An AC logo prominently displayed on the hood. On the back side, we can see the removable top, which has a hatchback style rear window, which lifts with the help of pneumatic pistons, so you can also open the trunk. Of course, there's a nice Cobra logo right there for all to see. And then the Hillenbrand style knockoff spinners. And there's the colossal 4-in-1 exhaust pipe running along the base of the car, speaking to the enormous power of the engine under the hood. Overall, a very impressive find. Beautiful looking, muscular car. And of course, on a random walk through London, you're bound to find surprises. This is an early Morris Mini being used to advertise a local restaurant. Nevertheless, it is a very fine specimen, probably a late 60s, early 70s model. And these were about half the weight of a current Mini Cooper and about 2.5 feet shorter. So that gives you a sense of the diminutive size of this car. And it's nicely outfitted with the 4 fog lamps in front of the grille, giving it a kind of rally theme as well. So from one small car to another, this is the much beloved Nissan Figaro that came out of Japan around 1991. And it was very intentionally designed to have a vintage look. It has serious retro styling. It's almost cartoon-like. You can see the duotone colors and then the interesting trunk, which is hinged in the back so it flips open toward the taillights. And that is designed to accommodate this convertible roof here, which is great for decent weather days. Flips back into the trunk like the old Thunderbirds used to do. And then, although it's a retro car, it was equipped with very modern amenities: fluted leather seats, power steering, CD player, air conditioning. And then here we have the Art Deco style wheels again in the duotone color package. It's a perfect car for getting around an urban space like London. Very seldom outfitted in rally mode because it's just perfectly designed as it is. Just a wonderful car here in London. And finally, the last car of the walk is certainly not the least car. This is another French automobile. It is the Citroen Maserati, the SM, powered by a Maserati engine. It is a 1970s car, well known for its technological innovations. Of course, it has the hydraulic suspension. Here we see it at a very low setting, which is appropriate for high-speed driving, but it can be raised for rough terrain so that you are raised several inches above the ground and several inches above what we see here. There's the glass treatment over the grille, giving it aerodynamic qualities, and you can see the lights which pivot in the direction that you're going to be steering the car so that it looks toward the direction you're moving in. This car was just chock full of innovative engineering, as was the characteristic of Citroen years ago. A very beautiful looking car.
Well, folks, that about wraps up for Carthropology's tour of the streets of London, England in the evening. We'll be doing a follow-up report for daytime cars that we find. That should turn up some more interesting automobiles too. If you're interested in the Nissan Figaro, that's the little cartoon-like car that we briefly touched on in this report, Carthropology did a report specific to that. If you tour the Carthropology website, look up Nissan Figaro, it'll turn up. It's got a lot of interesting details about the car. It's a short, fun little report. Besides that, please don't forget to support us by hitting subscribe on your phone or your monitor. And that is the end of our tour of evening cars in London, England. Thanks for visiting.